I could have canceled this season on July 31st, right at the deadline. I absolutely knew it from the fucking jump. Some things never changed, and I knew it. I knew Jacob deGrom wasn't coming back. Like it was too weird. It was always weird with him. It was like, what is even the injury? Why is he out for the season? What is it? What are they? It was a shoulder. It was this. It was a that. It was never anything too bad. And but it must be bad because it was the best pitching season of all time when he was back on the mound. I knew it. I could have canceled a month ago and been on Easy Street just relaxing. And so that, I'm a man of my word. I said if Jake's out for the season, I cancel. So cancel the season.
After a win?
I'm in a predicament here.
Kyle just fucking told us Jacob deGrom is 99.9% out for the season. I don't even know where he saw it. We just were doing My Mom's Basement. I can't process this news and do a podcast right now after hearing that.
The caveat is that the person who reported it happens to be Frank's producer for Allow Me to Be Frank. No, he's a writer for Sports Illustrated, though.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute. Hang on.
What are the odds that this guy would be the guy?
All right, wait a minute.
I didn't say I was going to cancel the season. If you remember, cancel the season. If you remember, I said I'm canceling baseball. I will not cancel the Mets, and it is definitely a loophole, but it is a loophole I will exploit because I said I am making it through the California trip. I am in the Suicide Squad, and there are many of us dead on a beach right now, but there's a few still kicking, and I'm one of them.
Well, here's what's crazy. I did say it. I did say it, but the pitching is not the problem. Like. It's not. And my thought kept being every time there's what's supposed to be a Jacob deGrom start, and it's not. I feel like this team wakes up and they're like, fuck, like Jake should be on the mound, then he's not. And we gotta get through this. And then, those are games that we did start to win. We actually did start to produce on Jacob deGrom days. So like those used to almost be penciled in as wins, and when they're not, it helps, like with Jacob on the mound, your 5-game losing streak turns into like a 2-game losing streak because you win one in the middle. You know what I mean? And there's never any prolonged slump because you're a stopper. But all that being said, that hasn't really happened. It's not like every 5th day someone goes out there and throws up a clunker. And it's like, oh, fuck, Jake should have been on the mound, but we gave up 8 runs. But it does feel like the whole season has felt like this can't – this is where the whole Frank was right thing is annoying because we've all said this isn't sustainable. Like at some point, the other shoe has to drop. We've used 61 players now. We're gunning for the record. 67 players in a major league season is the record. So the Mets are probably, when you consider September call-ups and whatnot, are going to have the record for the most players ever used. That's reserved for like bottom of the basement fucking scrub teams who are 50 games out. So it's ridiculous that we're ever here in the first place. The people who say it's a cop-out to blame injuries are forgetting, are so used to the injuries by now that you're not processing the effect of it. It's not an excuse. It's not a cop-out. This team has been absolutely ravaged all year long. And now the core is back, sure. If you keep Jacob deGrom, Francisco Lindor, and the guy you got to replace an injured Francisco Lindor, if you're considering them not part of the core. The injuries are fucking insanity. And Jacob leads the fucking way there. And part of me thinks the last 6 weeks you can't do it without him. And let's be honest, if they continue playing the way they've been, it doesn't matter if Jake is here or not. They've been awful offensively. But, one win last night and everything in my mind, not everything changes, but like it's different. All of a sudden it's like, okay, we beat the Giants and we're only 4 games out. And like the thing about it for me is like if the Braves drop 2 and the Mets win 2, it's not like insanely far-fetched. And then it's a 2-game lead. Like it's just the way they're playing is certainly consolable. Frank and everybody picked the exact time where they went on their 2007-esque collapse run and also played the two best teams in baseball to do their little victory lap. But like, if they get out of this slump somewhat and get some relief on the schedule, I know there's not much. It seems like doable, not probable, but doable. But is it without Jake? That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, it's like I do have to be a man of my word and say I would stick to it, but it also doesn't seem like that's the problem. Like if Alonso went down, that would probably be worse because it'd be like we literally don't have a single bat to use. But I don't know.
No, I mean, like, if you want to say you're consoling the season as in they don't have a chance to win the World Series, then yeah. But like,
the console is usually the playoffs, so it's like they still got a chance.
No, they definitely have it, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like I was thinking about it because I feel like you said, the Mets every 5 days would just turn, like the front office would just not watch every 5 days, be like, Jake's pitching, we're fine. And I feel like those were the Jared Eichhoff starts. They were like, oh, that's why Jared Eichhoff kept pitching for us, because they stopped watching every 5th day, and they didn't watch him just absolutely suck dick. Because I wish we had a few of those starts back where we at least might have. Maybe we lost the game 3-2 instead of 10-2, right? But who gives a shit? The offense stunk. But like, it's like we've been saying all year: the injuries, everyone getting healthy, and then like if we can get the regression to the mean where it goes the other way, where like Conforto is now getting a little better. Now he's getting hot in August. It's like if we had a few more guys who might go that way, and then everyone's healthy, maybe there's a chance they could put up 4 or 5 runs. And for the record, the Mets are averaging 6 runs a game, and Uncle Stevie calls them out on Twitter and basically shits on the entire offense. It took fucking 12 innings of pure torture to get there. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. That is still the number.
I mean, again, they had no business winning that game. Like, I'll take the W in the column, but they had no business winning that game.
That's baseball, Susan, because they should have won, 1 or maybe 2 against the Dodgers. So, like, that's how baseball works. You win the games you shouldn't. You lose the games you shouldn't. It's stupid, but I'll take it. And like, one win makes a difference. Like if they had won 1 against the Dodgers and they did win against the Giants, but they took 2 from the Giants. It's so stupid. But when you're in, it's such a long season. But when you're in these spiraling moments, it becomes this short little like 10-game span, and 1 win breaks it up. 2 wins changes everything. So, I mean,
and this shoe is ready to drop this whole season because anytime we lost, everybody else also lost. But now it's the Braves are 9-1 over their last 10. So like it's a complete vacuum of everyone freaking out.
Listen, our absolute worst baseball since probably 2007. I mean, this type of free fall I have not seen since the 07 and 08 collapses. We went from 4 games up to 4 games down in like 3 weeks. It's an insane free fall. Our worst baseball coincided with the Phillies going on a 7-3 run, with the Braves going on a 9-1 run. We needed the NL East to stay garbage for us to have a chance, and it didn't. But if it goes back to somewhat of what it was, if it goes back to a 500 division and we stop playing like a absolute bottom of the basement team, it just stands to reason that like they're not going to run away with it unless the Braves just all of a sudden the deadline was really that big of a difference maker for them. They finally found their groove. If that truly happened and they're just going to play like 650 ball the rest of the way, then yeah, we're fucked. But if the Phillies and Braves kind of regress back to the way they were for like 110 games, which is entirely possible, and the Mets get back to, great pitching and like clutch hitting, they're clearly not going to be offensively like prolific, but if they just get back to like some clutch hits and some big spots, it could happen. Can it happen without Jake and Lindor? And like, shout out to the Lindorics, man. This team, as soon as Lindor went down, they went from 650 to 550 ball. It was like boom overnight. It was, it makes no sense because he wasn't producing that much. But I don't know if it was just having his presence or how it affects the batters before him and after him and his leadership, whatever. Without Jake and without Lindor, it's going to be tough. Not impossible, but extremely improbable.
And it's funny, too. Baseball is one of those sports where it should require the most patience and being like, let's not freak out about 3 games, 6 games, because there's so many goddamn games. But especially on Twitter, every single day you're on there, and every inning
Twitter,
man. Like it's the end of the world, and it just runs through your brain.
Yes. Twitter is the problem, and that's where it's Twitter and it's trolling. I hate the worst part about the Frank was right stuff is that we gotta believe and the Mets Barstool Mets universe, the BMU. We've been doing Barstool the Ballpark for 5-6 years. We've been growing this podcast. We've had fun with the shirts and the misery bracket, and then Cohen coming, and we had this thing building up. And then because of Frank, Dave starts to troll, and Yankee fans want to troll, and it gets in. It just weasels its way in like a parasite and tears apart a good thing that we had going with the Mets. Every Mets fan hates Frank. All outsider fans love Frank because they think it's funny. They want to tune in every now and then for a rant. They want to just see the fireworks. But every Mets fan who's watching day in and day out fucking hates Frank. The team hates Frank. The negativity sucks. The I was right is totally illogical. So all of that that part actually sucks for us and all and everything here. But it's also just from a baseball point of view, it makes you feel like this is the World Series and this is the final game of the season right now, and it's just not. There's a lot of games to be played for only a team that's only 4 games back, and it just feels worse because they're free falling. If they continue to free fall, of course we're fucked. But if they can just somewhat stop the bleeding, and if the Braves somewhat come back down to earth,
So I'd be more concerned if it was the Braves that started the season when they had Acuna Jr., Ozuna, and they had Soroka potentially coming back. They're missing their 3 best players, arguably, and they're still putting together this type of run. They're well put together. It's kind of like when I was watching the Giants and they're putting the lineup up, and I'm how the fuck is this team good? It's a bunch of nobodies that just happens to work together, like Team USA hockey. How does that come together to beat everybody?
Sure.
But here we are. It just, if it works, it works. I mean, I made a video this morning. BR has the 3rd most games played on the team. Pilar has 30 more games than Nimmo, and Conforto has 8 home runs. So the fact that we're even 4.5 out is a miracle in itself.
We should be the worst team in baseball. and people are discounting that because they got used to the injuries. They got used to people who say the injuries weren't the problem. We were winning when we had the injuries are so fucking stupid to not understand the toll that takes, to not understand that there's no continuity in the lineup. There's no way to get any momentum. You're getting all of any of these Pilar type guys, you're getting all of their production. If those guys could just spread that out over the year because they're playing every other day and they're doing spot starts and this and that, but to rely on them for that long, of course the wheels are going to come off. And to think that not having your core for 75% of the season doesn't matter because now they're back to it's nuts to me. It's and I know the Braves have been banged up, and so they deserve tip of the cap. They are banged up and they're still in first place. I just don't think it's crazy to think that at some point they're going to go back to the way they were for the first 80% of this season.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent, the NL East of the NFC East, which I just had to live through, which was an absolute shit show, right? Where it's the Cowboys lost Dak early in the year. The Eagles were all banged up on the line, and Wentz was all fucked up. I mean, he was terrible. The Giants almost snuck in at 6-10, and then Washington ends up taking it. And it feels it almost feels like it's like a fucking Tarantino movie, and we're all shooting at the same time, and whatever one doesn't have the fatal wound to the head is going to end up quote unquote surviving, and then probably getting dusted in the playoffs by whatever NL West team they have to face. And that's kind of what we learned. And I said this to Kyle last episode, Kev. I would think you would agree. I'm trying to spin zone the last week of hell. And again, not being the person that's going to if people, I have people, and again, I think these are people that are more, I don't even think that they're Mets fans. I think they're Frank acolytes who just follow Frank and they're chirping me. They don't even follow me on Twitter and they're telling me Frank is right. I think they're people being Clem is always glass half full. He's the positive. He sees everything in rose-colored glasses. I've spent my entire Barstool career blogging about how much I fucking hate the Mets. I love them and I hate them, and the Wilpons are the worst thing on the face of the earth. I'm not a positive Mets. I'm just more positive compared to the dickheads who are always negative about them. Not present company excluded, because you're always very realistic. We could say that, right? We've always said you're the realistic Mets fan. And I do think the way to spin zone the last week, which has been hell, because you can't really fight back when your team's just getting their dicks kicked in or getting their hearts ripped out every night, is that Uncle Stevie finally saw up close and personal what the class of baseball looks like. If he wants to be the Dodgers of the East, he just saw the Dodgers of the West, and they are a fucking machine. That's like seeing a tank for the first time in World War II. You're like, that is what we have to fight against? Like, like, holy shit, I have to make that. And that is kind of what Uncle Steve has to get to. And that's kind of that's been lumped in with all this, like, Mets suck, the team is feeble, the offense stinks. It's been like, well, where's Uncle Stevie's, like, results? And it's like, wait a second. We're talking, like, the rest of hopefully like his life as our owner, we're gonna like put the gauntlet down as his first year. We're hovering around 500 with everyone getting hurt and guys regressing to having a shitty year, and it's Uncle Stevie's the problem now. It's like I'm talking to fucking morons. Morons.
It is genuinely like if you think that Cohen's the problem and hasn't done things differently than the Wilpons, I genuinely think you're a stupid person. I think you like don't have a brain. I think you're unintelligent. It's been 1 year. There's only so much you can do with one off.
Not even 1 year. It's been one season. It's not even been a fucking year.
And I like, yes, okay, you could have had a bigger deadline. Yes, I understand that. We can go around in circles. I don't think this was the year to push your chips in the middle. Some people
99.9% cooked. DeGrom, right? You don't go all in with DeGrom 99%. Right.
Exactly. And so I don't think that, but that aside, there's nothing an owner can do in the middle of a season to fix it. So you got to wait. Like this season is what it is, and we're gonna pick up the pieces and move on. And to try to judge an owner 6-8 months into his fucking tenure is we're not even talking about it. We're not even gonna continue this conversation because it's fucking moronic to do something. Look at me, I'm getting all fucking red. It's like we're talking to morons, like actual stupid people that are somehow loud enough that we have to address it. And it's like, what are we fucking talking about? And by the way, love the Cohen tweet.
Yep.
Love the Cohen tweet. Love it. So sick of Pete Alonso's positivity. So sick of Stroman having a fucking party for himself because he made a good play. Hate how those two have been handling themselves. They need to sit down with people like us. Like Barstool should do a class, like PR for players in a big city. I don't want to hear smile. I don't want to hear you're unlucky. You also don't need to throw anyone on the bus. You just need to give generic fucking quotes. I am miserable when we lose, man. Yeah, you know what? I did hit that home run in the 8th inning, but it doesn't matter because we didn't win, and so it means nothing. I hate to lose. I'm just as miserable as you guys are. I can't sleep at night. I can't eat. I can't think straight. Losing sucks. Blah, 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 blah. The same old bullshit. Don't tell me to be happy, and don't tell me that you made a good play in the 4th inning.
I'm with you 100% there. And this is, again, the difference between the Wilpons who would just stay silent until, like, at the end of the year, we'd be like, we want meaningful games in September. They say something stupid. It's like, and Cohen, I don't even know if he was even calling out the players. I think he's calling out, it could be the whole process. It could start at Sandy with the home runner bust. It's just the way baseball is now, right? You were saying it on Pick Central in terms of it's all or nothing. And then the nuance of, choking up and trying to go the opposite way or just putting a ball in play. No sack flies, which drives you crazy, right? We actually get a sack fly yesterday. It feels like the biggest win in the world. And it could be the coaches, and then it's obviously the players too, because they're the ones with the stick in their hands. It just felt like there was a change. And again, that kind of goes in with like Stroman and Pete and stuff like that. Where we are in the age now, where if you do something like that, then you're going to get chirped for being negative, and this is the empowerment era in terms of players. And just I'm not like don't bully online and stuff like that. So that plays into it as well, but it's like, hey, the fucking boss man can be pissed. If Dave's pissed, if Dave says there's not enough blogs going on, I'm like, shit, better start blogging because Dave's pissed at me. And Uncle Stevie has the right to be pissed too.
Any of the fans calling him out from that too, it's like, it's his fucking team. He can do whatever he wants. I don't know what this spells for like Rojas, and I think that Sandy's probably going to be safe for a couple of years anyway with the structure and everything. But like when you, like you said with Alonso and Stroman, here's two guys that like, I'm sure they want to win. Don't get me wrong. But they're also like me guys. Like, I want to win a Gold Glove. I want to win the home run derby. Like, shit like that. Every time they lose a game, I got friends texting me like, well, at least he won the home run derby. And it's like, yeah. When you care about shit like that and not about winning, and then you're like, we'll be fine. It's like, no, dude. We're trying to watch the team win. We don't give a shit about your highlights and your end of the season accolades.
I don't. You can care about those things,
right? But you can't
make it seem like that's like your reaction to the home run derby has to be equal to like how miserable you are about the team losing. Like it's all gotta kind of match up.
and I love Cohen's tweet too, because it wasn't necessarily like these guys stink. It's almost like you guys are professional hitters. We know we've got a good team here. It's crazy how it's not working out. It's almost like a critique on the sport of baseball too, where it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? But yeah, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, we don't like when Pete Alonso tells us it's all going to be fine, and then when Steve Cohen keeps it real, you get mad about that. But it's also a sign that you can't win. So these guys are in an unwinnable spot where they're probably like, I don't give a fuck what they're saying on Twitter because they're going to be mad no matter what. That's it, you know?
And for the people telling me that this is George Steinbrenner, the people who are saying this is, Steve Cohen's becoming the new George Steinbrenner didn't live through George Steinbrenner. And shit, I didn't even live through like crazy George Steinbrenner, like hiring and firing Billy Martin 1,000 times and, hellfire and brimstone. He wrote a tweet. It was 161 characters. And he's just saying, like, it's crazy. Like, we've all said, like, these guys should be better. The OPS and slugging, you'd think they'd be better. And, like, George Steinbrenner was a fucking, like, he would write they have the missives on Mike and the Mad Dog, and they play the fucking Yankee Doodle Dandy music in the background, and it was a big deal.
Wait, by the way, why is this a negative that he's turning into George Steinbrenner?
I think they're saying he's going to be rash and just try to fix it all and spend and because like he kind of
good. Sign me up for that. I had 30 years of the most passive, boring, gutless owners ever. I want a guy who's going to be like, you're fucking fired. Someone else. I'm in. Sign me up.
I want to,
had a good fucking run, guys.
The Dave Winfield, when he sent the private eye to track Winfield trying to get like dirt on him, do that with Robinson Cano. If you tell me Stevie Cohen was the one who got Cano popped on the PEDs, good. Get him a third time and wipe him off the books completely so we don't have to pay him anymore. Sign me up for all that shit. I know, like, the thing is, the Yankees were in like baseball purgatory until he got suspended, and then Stick Michael just came in and built the system and the core for it and all that shit. But yeah, give me all I need is really just one World Series. Like, George went out, got Reggie Jackson, won a World Series. Done. I'm done. I don't have to be miserable. I don't have to fucking have like sleepless nights during the West Coast watching that bullshit. And Kev, I texted you too. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm mad at the Mets because they're making me live out this hell online every single day, where I'm fighting against my own fans. I have my fucking boss chirping me. I have everything coming on, and it's like we're starting to lose. And like, people going to Consolina, like, God bless you. I wish I could have been fucking sipping margaritas the last week or so.
I know.
But it's like, I hate that we're like losing all this like fucking momentum we had just when Cohen signed, let alone the last 4 months of the season when we were in first place every day. It just kind of sucks. It's like, now it feels like everyone's like, well, it's back to the bad old days. Like, what are you guys talking about? It's a fucking a bump in the road that fucking sucked. But other than Jake being substantially hurt, this season's going to have more positive than negatives. And I think one of the things is going to be, we're going to change the offense for the better. There's not wheeling back the same 8 next year. There's no fucking chance of it.
No chance. With the DH coming too, hopefully that changes things as well. They're going to switch it up. They're going to make moves. I think that Steve Cohen is going to send a henchman to fucking prick Robinson Cano with some PEDs when he's sleeping at night, and he's going to fail. I actually think that I could see a scenario. Is it 1 more year?
Yeah.
I could see
2 more years.
Like,
2?
I think it's 2.
2. Yeah, it's $48 million.
I was going to say I could see Steve just buying him out and be like, here's $24 million, get the fuck out of here. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what you do there. But
go back to Airbnb. Be like Airbnb. You got the Bonilla deal. We're gonna give a Cano a deal, and then like you make the money back in Airbnb. Fucking. Who cares?
I don't think he'll be a guy who says play the money, and I think that'll be a big step towards like fans appreciating him. I think Baez or McNeil will be playing second, and Cano won't. I don't give a fuck. The money's spent. The money's gone. Don't fucking continue to hurt yourself over it. But yeah, I think that like right now we are in the throes of it. It's probably not going to go our way here. Is it a wasted opportunity in the sense that the NL East was down, and if we were healthy and played even mediocre, we would run away with this thing and then have a chance in the playoffs? Yes. Were we going to get through some of the better teams? Probably not. So like just on the big picture and the grand scale here, this year, like you said, we'll have more positives than negatives, but the negatives were enough that it's like, okay, you can't rest on your laurels. You can't just, run this team back out there and expect it to work. So I think this year will be like the first year where it was like, we did some good things. We did some bad things. We had some horrible luck. We had some good luck. We needed to fix this. We needed to fix that. We had a moment where we learned how to be a first place team. We had a moment where we remembered same old Mets. Like all of this will be in the off season, will be like addressed and discussed and fixed and figured out, and hopefully 3, 5, 10 years from now, I'm laughing at the people who were acting like the Steve Cohen era was over 6 months into it. It's so idiotic. It's so dumb. I hate to give any attention to Frank or Frank was right or anybody saying that because it's just so moronic.
If you want to say Cohen is going to be the Wilpons, I will take you up on an offer. I made this extension to Frank, and I'll go on his podcast next week. If you say that, we'll do the last 5 years of the Wilpons versus Cohen's next 5 years when he says they're going to win World Series. We'll do winning percentage. If Cohen comes out worse than the Wilpons, I will retire from being a Mets fan. If that doesn't happen, we do retirement matches. That's what we do around here. WWE, nothing gets the fucking dick harder than a fucking retirement match. You retire from being a Mets fan. No more tweeting about him. That's going to fucking hurt me professionally probably because I kind of need to do that. But you just go retirement match. That's how you have to do. Frank's already jumped from the Celtics to the Suns to the Nets. He can fucking find another baseball team. I'll fucking just quit baseball, which I've been looking to do. We were on the podcast this time last year trying to get our kids into lacrosse instead of baseball, so we don't have to fucking deal with like them becoming Phillies fans or Yankees fans. I will be very happy. It's kind of like if the Ghostbuster was like, if I fail, you're right, whatever. But if I'm right, you could be like that. That's how I kind of feel with Frank right now. But what does Steve Cohen have? He's a nice fresh haircut. He's a nice fresh haircut from Fleischman Salon. And that's what Uncle Stevie's going to be for us. He's going to make everything better from the top, from the nose to the toes, and make even a cream cheese blogger look attractive.
What Uncle Stevie is you could go to any barber and you get a cut and you look nice for a couple days, maybe a week. Fleischman changes the culture of your hair. Fleischman took me from I used to shave my head and have I didn't have any hair here. I was always stuck in between with a number one. I looked awful. And she came in and said, we're changing the culture. We're changing the clubhouse. Now I got all the products. I know how to do my hair. I come in once every 2 months with Erica to get a haircut because it grows in. So it's not a quick fix. It's not a Band-Aid. It is a long-term solution to your hair problems in the form of gummies that help your hair grow and help it stay on your head, in the form of different hair creams and hair paste that style it, in the form of sea salt spray that makes it smell good and get a little gritty, and in the form of shampoo and conditioner that help you on the day-to-day. There's the big picture stuff, the long-term stuff like the gummies. There's the day-to-day fix like the shampoo and conditioner. That's our infrastructure. That Erica is Steve Cohen. And all the infrastructure is all of her products to give you the Fleischman flow, whether you live in New York and get your haircut there or not. You can be in New York, go to the salons and use all the products, or you can live across the country and still get that same look and feel for a long-term, sustainable, good haircut and hair solutions. Go to FleischmanSalon.com. Use the promo code BELIEVE. You get 20% off. Plus an extra additional discount when you bundle things together. So that's 20 off with the promo code BELIEVE and another 15 off if you get the We Got You Covered bundle. And so you get tons of savings on everything you need for a long-term, good-looking haircut.
Boom. There. You're so fucking good at that, man. I love you. I just love you so much. I couldn't do that one myself. I just love you so much, Kev. And that's the other thing. Uncle Stevie with and it always comes back to the Kumar rocker. And it's like, guys, he slipped to us at 10 for a reason. The whole medical thing, we knew there was a chance he wasn't going to sign because of the medical, just because they had the fact that they drafted him, the fact they offered the $6 million, that's proof he's no longer the Wilpons. The fact they didn't just sign him and then potentially whatever have his arm explode on the mound, Victor Zambrano running back to the dugout, that's a Wilpon thing if they had even signed him. If he comes out, and again, kind of like the next 5-10 years, Kumar Rocker shoves it up our ass. Kyle said he won the Baseball America Player of the Year, right?
Yep,
so that fucking sucks. People are saying, is this the curse of Kumar? Because basically August has been an absolute shit show. We only win on Wednesdays. Winning Wednesdays is kind of a nice promotion to have, but when you only win on Wednesdays, it's not so
There's only 4 Wednesdays in a month.
Yeah. That goddamn Clem counter graphic is so fucking depressing. I can't even tweet it right now. There's so many L's on there. It's so many red L's. But it's like the other thing is like people going crazy about that. It's like, well, no one talks about when the Astros didn't sign the number 1 pick and then they got another pick. The Braves did it with a guy who's pitching all right in Japan. But it's like, how come everyone was losing their mind about the unfair, the way the draft was built and how the Braves and the Astros fucked up when they weren't? The Astros had signed the number 1 pick of the draft, and I didn't hear fucking people going crazy about it like the way their Mets are. And I'm talking about Mets that's Mets fans, and then the outer, like the general baseball community who's dunking on the Mets, and it's like, why are the Mets the bad guys in this all the time, and not all the other teams who have done it?
This is the plight of the Mets. We are in the big city, and people don't like that. The small town, podunk, small market teams always hate the big market guys. So we are big bad New York, but we suck historically. We've been garbage. And so we're a low-hanging fruit that is still a satisfying target because like you can make fun of the Mets, but you're also making fun of this like $200 million payroll, and they live in the big city and they think they're hot shit, but they suck. So everyone does LOL Mets. And this happens with Bobby Bonilla. There's plenty of deferred contracts. It's happening with Kumar, unsigned picks. It's not the first time it's ever happened. It's not the last time it's ever happened, but people make a big deal out of it because it's the Mets. I will admit, when you're in the middle of it, it seems like, what the fuck are we doing? Why don't we just give this guy $5 million, keep him around, see what happens, and then if his arm blows up, so be it. It's not like we're giving him $100 million. It's not like we're giving him a guaranteed contract right now. Just keep him around, and we'll see where it goes. I've had my sources who have told me that the way it's been described is like they're not afraid of signing pitchers with injury. And so we'll leave it to that. Like, draw your own conclusions. So like, there's something beyond injury that caused this issue. And for Steve to not throw around single digit millions, I don't know. There's something else going on there that I think we got to wait and see. And you're right. Whether it gets shoved up our ass, we'll find out. But even if that happens, it's not the end of the fucking world. It really, really will suck. That will be a bad black mark. But I'm also not going to like cancel all my excitement because we didn't sign one pick.
Yeah,
the same way I don't give a fuck about Pete Crow Armstrong. The same way that Eric Kalenic is no longer giving me nightmares. It's like it's not that big of a deal yet,
And kind of going back to that, like being in the big city and the the years of ineptitude and the bloated payroll, and just seeing like a guy like David Wright just paying him for years, and then Bonilla, like all this stuff. It's kind of like with the Knicks, and it's like LOL Knicks is a thing, Knicks for clicks and everything, and everyone, every time the Knicks make a move, everyone just quote retweets without even thinking about it, and they make fun of the Knicks. Leon Rose has gotten to the point where like a week later, all the terms of the deals come out, and everyone's like, "Holy shit, that was a fucking great move." And there's going to be another year or so. It's been so long. It's just the echo chamber. It's going to keep going, and then finally, like the smart people will stop doing it, which then the fucking morons will stop doing it. But like, just try not to be someone who is just following the group. Don't be a Frank and be always negative about stuff, and don't just be an echo part of an echo. Be someone who actually thinks about it and be like, all right, is there a change now? Like the Knicks made a big change with Leon Rose, and like they made the fucking playoffs. They were a 4 seed. They lost in the first round, but they're clearly going the right direction. Don't be the same guy with the Mets, because then people are just going to find your old tweets, old takes, expose you down the road, and just in the sense to think you're right at some point. Unless Dave's going to tweet hashtag you were right, and then you go viral from that. God bless you. But there's like only one person on the fucking planet that's going to do that, and he's out of his goddamn mind.
I mean, out of his goddamn mind. It's been a rough fucking week listening. It's been a rough week for logical humans everywhere. I'll tell you that one.
Kev, I gotta bring this up too, because it was last episode, and I said I would say it to your face because you weren't on the last ep.
Oh.
I think I am hashtag done with JD double Davis. Can't play defense. Hashtag done Davis. You gotta hit fastballs if you're a guy who can't play defense. Like, even if you're not a fastball hitter, you gotta hit fucking fastballs down the dick.
He got us that sacrifice fly. We listen.
That's true.
We needed runs now. And what happened? We called J.D. Davis. It's 7 runs now. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for everybody. These balls are right over the fucking plate. What would you say? Second worst in the Major League Baseball with
it's like 36% of them just fouling off ball pitches down the dick.
But that's all. I mean, I know that's a big enough sample where it's like that means you're just a bad hitter. But also, it's like those are baseball things that I'm like, I don't know. What if for the last 6 weeks we hit 100% of those balls that are over the plate? Like it's so long and there's so many at-bats and so many pitches that usually things come out in the wash. Usually things average out. Water finds its level. But by now, Michael Conforto would be playing better, and by now our offense would be hitting. So maybe these guys are just bad, or maybe they're just having an awful season. Maybe it's COVID. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. I think when we look back, we're going to look at this as the anomaly, but and hopefully not like these guys just suck. But it does feel very Metsy, where it's just like, yeah, man, we thought McNeil was going to bat 350, and he bats 270. We thought that that Conforto was going to have a monster year, and he's batting under 200. We thought that Lindor was going to win the MVP. He's barely been here. All of these things And even Pete, it's like, yeah, man, you have a nice season. You're not going to ever hit 50 home runs again. You're not. I don't think you're that kind of guy. You know, things like that where it's just it does seem like, well, wait a minute. How did this happen to all of these guys? But I'm just going to say I'm not holding myself to my Jacob deGrom rule. I'm not Kunzel. I can't Kunzel a team for a guy getting like it's not like he just got injured. He hasn't been here and it hasn't been good. But it's like we're already going without him. I'm not going to pull the plug on these guys because a guy who's already injured is just more injured. We're riding this one out. We're riding this one out until I was going to say 5 games out, but then it quickly became 4.5, and I was like, oh, shit. So maybe let's say 7 games out. If we're like under 500 and 7 games out, I'm done. Otherwise, I'm going to just ride this thing because there's still mediocrity in the NL East.
Okay. How about if the Mets are, I'm going to not say the words, I'm going to say if they are a number that rhymes with Mevin games out with Mevin team to go, then we could say they're out. But until that point.
Basically what just happened, by the way. Like we basically did 7 and 17. It just happened in the middle of the season instead of the end of the season. So.
And that's the thing is like that was the worst part about 08 is that or 07 is that it was just over. It was game 162. It was like holy shit that just happened. We still have another month and a half of baseball worth left to play. I imagine the Braves and Phillies play each other a decent amount of times because we play them like barely at all. So I imagine they have to face each other a bunch. If the Nationals and Marlins could actually just be nice to us for once and let us just roll over them, then we'll have a chance. Yeah. And by the way, the whole thing about like the Mets are only in first because they beat like Frank's logic of they beat the Orioles for like 2-game series. And the Nationals, where it's like, we completely forgot when we were just beating we beat the Padres, and we were with them every step of the way. The games we lost too, right. Those just get glossed over. So, and there's like 3 other good teams in the National League. We beat the Reds in Cincinnati and all that stuff. Nonetheless, like that shit just drove me crazy.
And listen, everybody focuses on the negative, and the offense is the worst in baseball. Pitching's been immaculate. The pitching's been amazing. So let's give credit where credit's due. The pitching, if it wasn't for the pitching, we would be 100 games out. So I think there's enough baseball left that you got to believe.
Got to believe. Give Jeremy Hefner a fucking raise, too. That guy's awesome.
Yeah.